you. Now on to our last segment. Singaporeans love to eat and also throw away their food. Food waste is estimated to cost the Republic 2.50 more than $2 billion each year. To tackle this problem and reduce food waste, the Singapore government announced on August 27 that the country's first Zero Waste Masterplan will be launched later this week. To talk more about this, I have environment correspondent Audrey with me. Hi Audrey.
Hi Alyssa.
Sorry, so can you correct me on the amount of dollars that are lost every year due to food waste?
Okay, the figure cited in the recent study that was published is $2.54 billion.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Can you tell us more details about the Zero Waste Master Plan as well?
Okay, so the Zero Waste Master Plan is separate from the study that I just quoted. The Zero Waste Master Plan will be launched by the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources later this week, so soon. And why this issue is of concern for Singapore is because food waste is one of the top 5 waste streams in Singapore, other than things like plastic and paper. So food waste refers to waste that food that is discarded that is maybe still fit for consumption. And figures from the National Environment Agency actually showed that last year, 2018, we discarded 763,000 tons of food waste. And this is a 30% increase from 10 years ago. So that's the reason why the government is looking at this particular waste stream during this year, which also marks Singapore's year towards zero waste.
So why is there such a huge increase in the amount of food waste?
I guess Singaporeans are eating more and throwing away their food. I was at a panel session recently, and some of the panelists suggest that, in Asian we have this culture where abundance is considered prosperity. So sometimes people order more than they can finish. So yeah.
Oh, that's actually a very simple reason. Right. So what are some suggestions or recommendations for Singapore on a broader level to cut down its food waste?
So there was a recent study commissioned by the Singapore Environment Council and done by consultancy Deloitte. So they actually found that, so Singapore imports about 2 million tons of fresh produce every year, and of this, 393,000 tons is actually lost. So this is kind of different from food waste. So food loss refers to food that leaks out of the supply chain from things like farm to table, and like through delivery trucks and stuff like that. And food waste refers to like the tail end, which is what I mentioned earlier, like people throwing out food. So the study, the SEC study actually looked at how the entire food supply chain, if it's overhauled, we can actually save some of this and channel some products into useful byproducts. So for example, eggs. If we use automation, we can reduce the amount of eggs broken. And if eggs do break, we can actually change or convert some of these broken eggs into byproducts like powdered eggs or liquefied eggs, something like along those lines. The study also mentioned using technology, so things like oxygen and oxygen sensors, for example, to determine how fresh vegetables can be kept. So it's a whole range of things which would require a huge shift in mentality and also a lot of investments into keeping food fresh and keeping up the infrastructure.
So now on an individual level, what can we do to reduce our food waste, and if we want to do our part?
I guess on the individual level, one thing would be to order only what you can finish and really just try to finish all your food. So recently the Singapore government has also said that they are considering implementing Good Samaritan laws. So Good Samaritan laws essentially provide some legal protection from civil suits, for example, for businesses who want to donate food. So I think some businesses may be afraid to do so because they are afraid that, what if someone eats or consumes the food donated and gets sick? So this Good Samaritan laws, which the government is mulling, might protect them from that. So in today's papers, my colleague and I interviewed some F&B businesses, and most of them will welcome these laws as additional protection, but they also acknowledge that the onus was on them to ensure that the food is fresh. Yeah, so Good Samaritan laws may also establish food donation guidelines, so more people will be willing to donate. But all this is still in a very exploratory stage, and there are no concrete plans to implement them here yet. So that is how, individuals on our part can perhaps not order so much food. For businesses and farmers, they could invest in technology, which the government is helping them with some grants. And from businesses like F&B outlets, food donation to places like food bank is one option.
I'm just going to make a comment here, it's not a question. But as you were talking about this, I remembered that I recently went to a restaurant in Singapore and they were very proud about the fact that they are zero waste. So they did educate the customer. They said, okay, this is the barramundi you ordered, and by the way, we dried the bones and then we powdered the bones, and now it's a garnish on this and this, and then we use the bones for our stock. So maybe F&B restaurants, they can, try to think of how they can also reduce their food waste.
Yeah,
and
so
recycle.
I agree. In fact, I think this practice, like what you just said, is practice overseas, like in countries in the United States. Also, some restaurants could allow for portion sizes. So instead of just serving one portion sizes, you could maybe have a half portion option. Yeah, so that is another way to do it. Food waste is not just a Singapore problem, it's also an international issue. So earlier this month, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change also released a report on climate change and land, and they found that globally about 25 to 30% of food actually goes to waste. So that is quite a big figure, and considering how agriculture is being impacted by changes in climate, right? Not enough rain, too much rain, or human drivers, maybe inappropriate use of land is making the land infertile. It is putting a lot of pressure on agriculture, and if we could just reduce the amount of food that is wasted, we could actually reduce some of that pressure and save food in the process.
Thank you, Audrey. That was very insightful.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Now, those were our top stories for the day. It's Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. Thank you for joining us. For more news and videos, do log on to straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Alyssa. For more Big Story, join me here tomorrow, same time, same place.